It's the show the establishment warned you about.
This is the most listened to Concierge Medicine morning show in the entire galaxy. And for those of you who are not familiar with Dr. Tommy show, we offer you the latest and greatest in concierge medicine and direct primary care news, and all the latest comings and goings from the local and national news. And we are brought to you by Atlas MD, which is the preeminent medical software for membership medicine practices, including concierge medicine and direct primary care. And Atlas MD allows you to utilize all of the latest technology across platforms for your membership medicine practice for a very, very reasonable fee compared to the out-of-the-box insurance-based electronic records you're used to. And it also helps you with credit card processing and messaging and everything else you can imagine that you would ever need to start up a practice. And go to Dr. Tommy Show, drtommyshow.com. And you can see how to get Atlas MD for free for 60 days, which is $600 value to you. All right. And Tracy is here with us. And
good morning. I just noticed you changed the top.
I did change it a little bit.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a studio. It's not our studio, but it's a studio.
Very cool.
And what you saw originally when I accidentally misfired is we want to thank playsetparts.com, which is where we got the hangers for our playset. And this is a video I took this morning of KK on her playset, and she is enjoying the hangers and the belt, what do we call it, swing belt that we got from playsetparts.com. And so thank you for sending this overnight. And the other thing that playsetparts.com did was, when I said, look, I want these heavy duty commercial hangers for the playset, and I want ones that are going to be commercial grade. And so they sent them to me. But before they sent them, they said, hey, we're going to send you a little note. And they said, you know, these hangers require a special tool. Do you have this tool? Because we're just checking with you to make sure. Because if you don't, we'll send it to you for $5. And so I said, no, I don't have that tool. Please send it. So next day I got it. I got both of my orders, which were done separately in one box. And within several days of making the order, very short period of time, along with the tool that they had gone out of their way to make sure I had. Now, compare that with the treatment that you got yesterday from the local authorities dealing with your
Duke Energy.
Yeah. Well, that and the water company.
Yes, the water company actually was nice, but I did request my water to be turned off today. And we went to my house in Zephyr Hills, and the water was turned off already.
But then Duke Energy treated you like a pariah because the check thing did not work. The website, for whatever reason, didn't work.
It's my first time paying the bill, and I did it by e-check. And anyway, it said bank account information verified.
Yeah.
So, and the routing number I can see. Now, after you put the account information in, you are not able to see the last, of the previous, all the digits except for the last four. But anyway, I paid the bill, and for whatever reason, it did not process.
And then for your trouble, you were basically charged a deposit fee.
Well, yes, they said they were going to send. They sent me a notification. Actually, they sent me a notification saying the bill was processed. I thought all was good, and then later I received a message that said the payment was not processed, and I'm going to be charged a $30 check fee. And then they decided to go ahead and tack on a $345 deposit, which will be added to my next bill because I had good credit, so the deposit was waived initially when I had the power turned on. But now I'm going to be charged $345.
Which you won't pay because it's a deposit to keep the...
Yeah, so I was so aggravated, I just said, you know what, turn it off.
So
I don't need it.
So anyway, thanks to playsetparts.com for providing great customer service.
And they sent a lollipop.
And a lollipop.
And they sent a personal message.
And a
handwritten personal message. And a picture of their family.
Yes. Very
a lot
cute.
of personal touches.
The other thing that was in the news today, and this is having to do with social media, is this is on 970 WFLA. it says South Tampa man shoots neighbor after Facebook political argument. It says this is posted by John Conrad. It says a South Tampa man is in the hospital after political argument turned violent. 44-year-old Brian Sebring is accused of shooting 46-year-old Alex Stevens Tuesday night after the two started arguing on Facebook. Police say Sebring drove to Stevens' home on Wallace Avenue and shot him when Stevens charged at him. Stevens was taken to Tampa General with gunshot wounds to his right thigh and buttocks. Sebring turned himself in on charges including aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Sebring posted bond and is out of jail.
These two were friends, and they were having a political debate on Facebook, and then they became so enraged with each other. One decides, I'm gonna go shoot him because what he said has offended me. It
must be.
That's awful. People are just terrible.
This is something else I saw on the internet. This is a ACDC rumor update. Photo shows Phil Rudd and Brian Johnson in Vancouver. And this is from Steve Newton. This is from straight.com. And it says, for all the ACDC fans who have been hoping and praying that Brian Johnson would get back in the band and that Axl Rose would go back to Guns N' Roses where he's welcome, it appears that if those prayers have been answered. And it shows this picture. I don't know if this is legit or not, but you probably can't tell. This is a picture of supposedly showing Brian Johnson leaving. They said he's out on this deck where apparently the band members go out to have a drink and smoke. And that supposedly shows Phil Rudd, the former AC/DC drummer, and Brian Johnson on this deck. And this claims that this was recently taken. And Brian Johnson, if you're not familiar, was recently not in AC/DC after having some hearing difficulties and had to leave the last tour. And they mentioned Axl Rose. Axl Rose came back and did some shows for AC/DC in his stead. And apparently, according to this rumor, that AC/DC is having both Brian Johnson and Phil Rudd, who was fired from the band he apparently was threatening to kill someone in Australia and had some legal troubles and couldn't tour. So he was replaced on the last tour by Chris Slade, who was the drummer from, if a lot of people remember him as the bald-headed drummer from AC/DC and the Donington video, and also from the Razor's Edge. Anyway, so Phil Rudd, according to this, is back in the band. So we'll see. Very interesting.
So they're going to be touring?
This is all a rumor. They said that they're recording. That's what this guy said. He says he lives... It says, Vancouver resident and hardcore AC/DC fan Crystal Lambert has an apartment located near Warehouse Studios in Gaston, and she and longtime friend Glenn Slavens have been keeping an eye on the studio's outside deck, where various band members seemingly retreat to get some air, use the Barbie, and drink coffee, or perhaps Jack Daniels from white mugs. As you can see from the photo above, taken by Glenn, Rudd appears to be sharing a laugh with Brian Johnson. So we'll see.
Have you seen AC/DC in concert?
I saw them in 2008, which is probably one of the loudest concerts I've ever been to. My ears rang for 4 days afterwards. And they had their last tour, 2014 into 2015, the Rocker Bus Tour, where Chris Slade was on tour, and then also Stevie Johnson replaced, or not Stevie Johnson, Stevie Young replaced Malcolm Young, or took the place on rhythm guitar, because Malcolm Young was sick with dementia and subsequently died from dementia and other health issues. But anyway, that was a tour, and a lot of people thought that would be the last tour ever, because after that, Cliff Williams was the bassist for AC/DC, or has been since 1978 or 79, retired following the tour.
That's when they were in Tampa, right? It seems like I remember going and doing a pre-party. I'm pretty sure it was AC/DC with friends, but they were buying their tickets from scalpers.
That was in 2008, yeah.
And my girlfriend and I said we're not paying as much as they were willing to pay.
Was this in 2008 or more recent?
I think more recent.
Oh, well, they were they toured in 2014.
Okay. It must have been then. They were willing to pay. They had budgets of $200.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to spend $200.
Luckily, I was able to see them before that. And not pay $200. The only bands that are still touring that I have not seen that I'd like to see is I have not seen Deep Purple. And
you can go see them next month.
Yeah, one day before the child is born.
That is fine. No, Wednesday, 2 days before.
I have not seen Deep Purple, and I have not seen There's another band, the Rolling Stones. And the reason I have not seen the Rolling Stones is because it's upwards of $200 to see them. And I haven't seen Deep Purple just because I wasn't able to. But other than that, I've seen Van Halen. I've seen
Well, I think you should go see
AC/DC,
Deep Purple.
I've seen-
I think you should call Spencer up. It's going to be in Jacksonville. And because you might not get another chance.
That's true. You saw Def Leppard, which I have not seen. And I have not seen Motley Crue.
I've
You
seen
saw
Motley.
both of those, right?
Yeah, a couple times. I've seen Def Leppard.
I've seen Leonard Skinner. I've seen 38 Special. I've seen Black Keys. I've seen Tom Petty. I've seen all the big...
Def Leppard actually is coming next month, I think. Or maybe
Really?
this month. Yeah, I've seen them, I think, 3 times. I've seen Journey 3 times. They usually tour together.
Yeah, they do. They have toured together.
So, anyway, and yes, I've seen Motley Crue a couple times.
This other thing is out on about in the news is that these short-term health plans are now available. And these are plans that are not ACA plans, and that previously you could get a short-term plan and it would last for 3 months. There was no guaranteed reissue, and it did not exempt you from the fine that you would get from the government for not buying an ACA-approved plan. Now, the mandate is gone. Through executive action, the mandate has been reduced to 0, so it's effectively gone, even though it's still in the books. The mandate to buy ACA insurance still there. There's still a penalty not to buy it. The penalty is $0, so it's effectively gone. So the government can no longer force you to buy ACA insurance. So what happened? So after that, then through the executive branch, through Donald Trump, through the executive branch, has now said that short-term plans, instead of being only eligible for 3 months, can now be extended up to a year. And so these plans can also be renewed. So this is something that is good for free market types and for patients in general, because it opens up the insurance opportunities for those of us out there who are looking for affordable insurance, truly affordable insurance, to have an opportunity to buy this. And what does a short-term plan do? Well, a short-term plan covers, for the most part, catastrophic plan. I mean, they don't all this. You could probably buy a short-term plan that covers everything under the sun, just like an ACA plan does. But what a short-term plan really is helpful for is for those of us out there who are looking for insurance that does not cost upwards of $300 per month per individual, and only provides for certain quote-unquote benefits. That means insurance benefits. So if you get hospitalized and have a catastrophic illness, then you're covered. If you want to go to your doctor and pay a copay, you're not covered. A lot of us want that. A lot of us would love to have that. And now you can legally have that. Even though there are still restrictions that say on the books that you are forced to buy government-approved ACA insurance, which does none of the other things that we just said. Unless you meet income criteria, then maybe you don't pay anything. But anyway, so now a short-term plan you can get, and it will cover you for that much.
Right. So why would someone want to purchase, a 3-month plan?
You wouldn't.
Yeah. So why?
Well, the only reason you would want to purchase a 3-month plan, let's say that you're 64 and a half, and you're going to hit Medicare in October, and now you're in June. Then you may want to, and you just retired. So that may be a reason why. But what the government did once the ACA was passed is they took short-term plans effectively off the market by limiting them to only 3 months. So you could get them for 3 months, but if you wanted them for a year, you weren't allowed to. This was all in an effort to force people into buying things that the government thought you should need. And so people like Chuck Schumer, for instance, are saying that these plans are not good. These insurance plans aren't good. These are bad insurance plans because they don't cover all the things that we think they should cover. A lot of people say they're really good. It's like they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And so what is, according to Chuck Schumer, in his mind, trash, although Chuck Schumer probably has not paid an insurance premium in 35 years because he works for the government. He says these plans are trash. Well, these are the same plans that most people want. Right.
If you're a healthy individual and you just...
Unless you just like paying premiums.
And you want something for an emergency type of, purpose, a catastrophic type of plan, that's the way to go. We researched plans. What's it called? Golden Rule,
which is a United Healthcare subsidiary.
Yes.
You could get one for an individual I think for an individual and a baby, it was less than $100.
It was less than $100.
Okay. And so what does that say? Well, then people say, well, then that doesn't cover all the things. Well, who cares? Look, we can pay for the other things the way we want to pay for them. This is
right.
catastrophic here.
If you can, like a patient called us yesterday and was asking about insurance. And I said, you're a healthy individual. So you see a specialist once in a while. Think about, okay, so we know how much we pay, $366 a month. So you think about that's nearly for one person. So let's just average that to be $400 a month times 12. So that's $4,800 that we pay a year
for the privilege
of
having a car that allows you to pay then a $6,000 deductible.
Right. So we pay the $4,000
minus one free wellness visit a year.
Yes, and then we have a $6,000 deductible. So like I was telling this patient yesterday, if he might be taking this job where he's not going to have insurance for a year. So I was giving him this example of what we pay. You're going to go to the specialist a couple times a year. Are you going to be spending $10,000 to see the specialist? No, you're going to spend a couple $100, maybe twice a year to see the specialist. So you have to really think about that.
And so this is good for people who want to do things on their own. This is not good for people who believe that the state is smarter than the average adult and then is more capable of designing plans that everyone should be required to buy. It's like the difference between if you think the average voter is a child or an adult. Mm-hmm. If you think the average voter is a child, cannot make decisions on their own, these insurance things are too complicated. We need to have a prepackaged deal. Tells them exactly. We'll give them we'll say they're a bronze, a gold, or a silver plan, and then dumb it down for the people who are voters because you're too stupid to figure it out yourself. We'll just call them. You have a gold plan. That's good, Billy. This is bronze plan. That's not good, Billy. Without saying that, look, maybe people want a bronze plan, and then anyway. So for the people who believe that the government should be involved, these plans are junk, or involved into the amount that they dictate what terms are. This is no good for you. For those of you who believe that you are better able to make decisions based upon your individual needs, the same way that you decide how much food you're going to buy for your family, the same way you decide what kind of car you're going to get for your family, the same way you decide where your children are going to go to school, if they're going to have school choice, if they're going to go to love, all those decisions that you make, if you think you can also apply those to your health care, then this is good news for you. Mm-hmm. If you don't think if you think that the government should be this is not good. This is taking away, and if you'll look at the politicians, they'll say, this is destroying healthcare for people. Because what they're going to say is now people who are paying virtually nothing for these extravagant plans are not going to be able to have those plans because we're taking away all these payers into the ACA, which is true. Mm-hmm. So what they're saying is, look, there's heavily subsidized plans that people out there are getting right now that pay for all these bells and whistles. Mm-hmm. Those people are not going to be able to get those below market costs through subsidies anymore, theoretically. And that to them is detrimental, not only to the people who are not going to get those plans, but also to the people who think that the government should be involved in the confiscation of money from one individual to give to another individual through subsidies. Now, what would be the actual market outcome of all these plans is that theoretically, if the market were allowed to function, everyone would have access to a health insurance plan that is affordable. Mm-hmm. And each state would be able to identify high risk pools. There's this thing on the internet from Beverly Gossage, who is a healthcare insurance specialist, actually. And she spoke at AAPS once, Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, and did a talk on a history of health insurance. Anyway, she said she went through this scenario where a person who she was helping to get insurance did not have health insurance. They had foregone health insurance, got sick, needed health insurance, and they were going to have to then get health insurance to be treated. So this is the equivalent of someone whose house is burning down and then wants homeowners insurance. So this happened to a person. Okay. We're not judging. That's just what happened. That's the facts. Person got sick. They need health insurance. They called Beverly Gossage. She was able to get them a plan that was not as cheap as a healthy individual would have got, or not even a healthy individual, someone would have got before they got the illness. But the cost of it was 1.5 times the premium of a normal person. So for those of you scoring at home, that is not as much as what you pay now for your ACA insurance, which is multiple, 3 or 4 times as much as what you would have paid. So my point of all that is people say, well, if the ACA is the only thing keeping people from dying, the ACA is the only thing that's keeping people from being, choosing between health care and food and everything else. That is the fear that's sold to you to make you support the ACA. The truth of the matter is that the states have it incumbent upon them through actually the HIPAA Act to provide high-risk pools. Each state has that. It's a rule. And then who's to say if they didn't have that they would have done on their own. But either way, the point of it is there are availability of affordable health insurance. And if the ACA was truly for affordable health insurance, if you believe that's wrong. The ACA was meant to build an infrastructure of control.
Right. I mean, the only reason why we have it is because we're expecting a baby.
Right.
So,
and that's the only way we can buy insurance now.
Right.
For that.
That's right. So that is why we pay $366 a month every month, and with a $6,000 deductible. But come January, we're not going to keep that.
Here's what I think would happen in the future. Let's say that there was no such thing as ACA insurance, and we had to get insurance to have a baby. Here's what would happen. The same way that you buy anything that's high value, you would buy it. So whether that meant saving and paying cash, or, one of the people that I follow is Dutch Rojas, who we had on the show before, who specializes in selling surgical packages. I can envision that Dutch or people like Dutch would be able to go amongst different quote unquote providers, whether it be hospitals, doctors, pharmaceutical companies, whatever, and design a package that says this is a pregnancy package. Okay, if you buy this pregnancy package, then you can have a delivery, and you choose whether it's going to be vaginal or cesarean, and then you can pay an amount, and it's cash, and you pay that amount, and then you can figure out any different. But the point of it is all these things that we use for insurance, they can all be attained without insurance.
Right. Now, before we got insurance, I called Florida Hospital. I also called my OB to find out what the price would be to pay cash. And it's essentially the same price as what we're paying to have to pay the premium and to pay the deductible.
Which says, well, then why'd you even get insurance then if you could have just paid cash? Because of the insurance variable. Because God forbid, what happened if something happened?
Right. If something happens, I have to have a C-section. So
let's say you have to stay in the hospital for 3 or 4 more days.
Right.
That could easily become $50,000.
Well, and we all know that one hospital trip, if you spend some time in the hospital, you financially can be ruined for life.
Yes, because the prices that you pay are hyperinflated.
That's right. And
so imagine if you were in Disney World and you got stranded in Disney World and you had to spend a week in Disney World paying those prices for food because you couldn't get out. It's the same thing as if you got stranded in the hospital. Right. You're paying these hyperinflated prices.
Plus, I don't trust the hospital. I had something done not long ago. I called with the CPT code that I was given by my OB. I called the hospital to find out how much it was going to be because we have a deductible, and I wanted to know. I was told how much was going to be billed to the insurance company, and then I was told what I was going to be responsible for. We go to the day of the visit at the hospital. We pay our portion.
What they said was a portion.
Right. Thought it was a done deal, and then later we get a bill for $1,300 more.
So you get 3 different prices.
Yes. So the price that I was given when I called with CPT codes and the ICD-10 codes, I don't know where that man got those numbers from.
Well, see, the thing is that they probably don't know either.
They probably don't. And
there's so many variables involved.
Would it be great if you walked into a hospital and it was like you're going to McDonald's or anywhere and you have a menu and oh, wait.
Or if you're buying a house or a car. It's like, how much is this? Okay, this is how much it costs. This is how much you're going to pay the title company. This is how much your mortgage insurances cost. This is how much the realtor fee is. And you add them all up. Right. Okay, that's it.
For instance, Surgery Center of Oklahoma, I have just been playing, I've played around on their site before. You plug in the surgery. And boom, there it is. It's going to give you the price, and there's no hidden costs.
Yeah, and we'll get there eventually. And if we're allowed to, if the market's allowed to operate, we'll get there eventually. Even UCLA has seen the light and copied Surgery Center of Oklahoma's website for their cash pay business. They copied it almost completely, the graphic and everything. But that's fine. Dr. Smith says that imitation is the ultimate flattery.
Yeah, well, that's how, and maybe more states will do that. They'll, more surgery centers offer cash paying options for people. Walking into a hospital is pretty scary to begin with, and then just to wait for that bill to come in the mail.
It'd be nice to know that your basic price is going to be this. To be on the floor is this much money per day. Mm-hmm. To be in the ICU is this much money per day. Mm-hmm. There used to be back in the 70s, back if you go to Beverly Gossage's YouTube video, she talks about how the initial health insurance plans were sold door to door as discount plans to fill empty beds in the hospital. Oh. Because hospitals had empty beds, so they said, "Look, we'll sell these insurance, and people are guaranteed. Then, if they ever get hospitalized, they may not ever need it, but at least if they need it, they'll have these beds, and this is a way to basically use up surplus beds." And then, if you look at it, what it's morphed into, obviously, is controls everything, every movement, even down to the, how much price you're going to pay for generic drugs. Mm-hmm. The initial thing was because the hospital, and it cost, a couple $100 or something to stay in the hospital, but some people were saying that's too much money. Lord knows how much it cost, because there's no real price. It's a price that's made up. Well,
I know when we go next month, the price of the hospital bed is going to be a lot more than the price of a luxury hotel.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be anything like a luxury hotel.
Anyway, good news on the horizon, short-term plans. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, go to just Google short-term health plan, and you'll see. And then you have to decide if it's right for you. And if it's really you can't figure it out, call your congressman if you need to, if you want their help. Otherwise, figure it out on your own, or ask a friend, or ask your doctor, or ask whoever. But you have the freedom now to choose a little bit. Song of the week today is from Black Keys, and this is from the Chulahoma album. And I think I tried to play this last week, and I didn't have my sound doing it right. So here we are. This is My Mind is Ramblin', Black Keys, covering Junior Kimbrough. Follow us at drtommyshow.com, drtommyshow.com, and then look to YouTube for Kaylee's channel. It's KKTV. And she has more views than we do.
Yes.
KKTV. And
we must be boring.
It's the KK with, she's holding a cat. And she's got a lot of cool videos.
I think she used a lot of hand motion. Maybe we should do that.
Maybe we should. And she used a lot of and things like that.
Yeah.
Which we don't do. All right.
We should do that more
often. Take care, guys. Bye.
tell me what to do. Either right